we are still on Jenkins. This time around, we want to look at shared library. Okay, so why do we need shared library? Since we have pipelines that we can just copy and paste, right, into new projects. But, you know, sometimes it is not as simple as we've been doing it, right, where we have just 2 steps and all of that. It could be more complicated, right? And we do not want to miss out anything in the course of our work. So as much as possible, the less modification we make, the more the chances that we are not going to make mistakes, right? So because of that, shared library is very important, right? It helps us to avoid duplication. It helps us to minimize mistakes and, you know, so it's just a tool that we should also know how to use. Okay, now in the last session, we discussed the declarative pipeline, right? And we were able to build a declarative pipeline from the scratch. So for the purpose of this session, we'll be working with that particular pipeline. Okay, so let's look at the pipeline and let's see how it makes sense. Okay, let's go to configure and discuss around it and see whether we really need the shared library. Okay, so I want to, let me expand this a bit. Okay. Minimize the big. Okay, now looking at what we have here, right? Let's start from the top. Okay, this is the pipeline, the start of the declarative pipeline script. Okay, so we have agent any, we have tools, right? Maven 3.8.6. For this one in particular, we might not be able to put this in the shared library because my Maven version could be different from your Maven version and different from a third-party Maven version. So that will always vary. So for that reason, we will not need to put this in there, okay? So let's look at stages. Our attention is really going to be on the stages, okay? So looking at the stages, for example, you see, clone from GitHub, right? So this will vary from project to project. So we do not want to put this in the shared library because it's going to vary. This is something we need to go to our pipeline syntax and generate for that particular project. So we want to keep this as is. Now let's look at the next stage, right? That's the build, right? Look at this. sh mvn clean, sh mvn install. These are not dependent on anybody, right? These lines that we've just seen, they depend on nobody, no system. The only thing they depend on is, are we using Maven? Okay, so organization-wide, if we are using Maven, we'll definitely have so many projects that we are using Maven for. So we want to take this to the shared library. Okay, we've identified that. So what next? Code quality analysis, MVN clean. We want to take this to the shared library. What else? Backing up of artifacts. We want to take this to the shared library. Authorization. We want to take this to the shared library. Also, we could also bring in items like emails, right? But I still want us to have these different sections, right? So I'm not going to bring in this, right? So that we'll minimize how much we manipulate what we have here, okay? So we are going to leave this, but if possible, you know, we could also come in here and introduce a stage, right? but I want to also have this post section, so I'm not taking that out. We could bring in a stage, maybe after deployment, and set it for email notification, okay? But that was going to be duplication, so I would just leave it as it is. So this one, authorization, we could also put it there in the shared library. Then what else do you want to put in the shared library? We don't want to put this there because this is specific, right? Specific to the client, the place we are deploying to, and all of that. So this has many variables, okay? So we'll not be taking that to the shared library. Okay, now how does this shared library work, okay? So the shared library will involve us doing some things, right? But usually at the workplace, there will be a shared library already created. But who says you will not be tasked with the responsibility of doing this one day, right? Maybe you are with a startup and you need to create a shared library, right? So what do you need to do? The first thing we need to do is to go to create a Groovy script, right? Which will define all these variables, right? All these variables like the build, the sonar, the backing up of artifacts and authorization. We need to define all of this in a Groovy script, which we can now call our shared file for which we'll put in the shared library, okay? So now that we've established that, so what do we need to do? Okay, so we've established what we need, so we determine how to do it. So now what I'm going to do, let me open another so that I can use maybe a template right there. So let's call this, okay. I just want to use a template, right? So I can just create one, right? I want to use the template for Groovy script. So let's call this, okay, we'll use this eventually, shared pipeline. Okay, let's just call this shared pipeline. So this is what we are going to use, okay? Let's call this a pipeline project. I just want us to look at how we can create a shared file, yeah, a .groovy file, which we can put in the shared library, okay? In case we are tasked with the responsibility of doing this, maybe while working with a startup, because it's a possibility. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to define certain things. What are we trying to define? Let's look at this, okay? Looking at this, right? This is stage, right? This is the name of this stage, right? So we can say this is the stage name, right? We can conveniently say this is the stage name, okay? So this is another stage name, okay? This is another stage name. And here we have another stage name. So these are the four we want to work with, right? So we have their stage names. So we want to define certain variables, right? So we start by saying, let's come here. Let's say define, okay? So we want to call, okay? Want to call, let's say a string, right? The string is going to be what will define, right? What we'll use to define each of the stage name, okay? So string for stage name, right? So we can say this and we do our usual. This is a Groovy script, okay? So we space, well, we open our curly brackets and we close it, okay? So we enter, right? As we've been doing. Now within here, we want to define certain variables, okay? So remember, the first item we selected here, let's look at the first item we selected, is the build, right? That's the build. We can say if, right? Let's express the string. Now we can say if, okay, put this in double quote, okay? Then we'll say, because we are trying to define a string, okay? If this string, right, this string, which we are defining here, okay, which is stage name, okay, which is stage name, okay, if this string, which is stage name, okay, is equal to, we need to copy this exactly the way it is here because we want to be consistent, okay? If that, right, because it's now variable, right? Remember the string is stage name, but it's now variable because it could be, stage name could be build, it could be code quality analysis, it could be anything, right? So if it is build, right, we are copying build exactly as it is over there, right? Want to copy that and put here, right? Want to put that here, okay? Okay, if build is this, right? Want to take this out of brackets. So if that is this, okay? So what happens? If this equals this, okay? So we want to say, right? Want to bring that in. Remember the way we do it, okay? We'll close it there, right? So once we do this, we want to come in here and state what is going to happen, right? If the stage name is built, what do we expect to happen, right? Those things we expect to happen have already been defined right here. So we look at the steps, what should happen, okay? We should do MVN clean. Okay, let's take it one after the other. Should do MVN clean. Anytime stage name is that, right? We want to do MVN clean, okay? First, we want to do MVN clean. So let's come here. Want to do MVN clean, right? Then, secondly, what should we do? We want to do MVN install, okay? So we come here and copy this. So we are building our library from the existing structure, from what we have, from the existing results, because that is how it's going to be in real time, right? Because based on what you've been doing in your organization, you can use that to generate a shared Groovy scripts, right? Which you use for your shared library. So I want to come here and bring this in here, right? Okay, so if the stage name is build, so these are the things that we expect to happen, okay? So that closes there, okay? So what do we do next? But what if it is not, what if it is not build? What else can it be? Else, right? We can say else if, okay? If, right? If this stage name, right? Can copy this. If stage name that we have there, else if that stage name, right, is what? Let's go here. Is code quality analysis, but I want us to copy it exactly as we have it for consistency. If it is code quality analysis, copy it as we have it here, okay? If it is code quality analysis, what should we do? Okay, I want to put code quality analysis here. Okay, if it is code quality analysis, remember, put your second curly bracket here to close. Okay, so if it is code quality analysis, what happens? We go back into the curly bracket and click enter. Okay, so what should happen if it is code quality analysis? Now we have our answers. We are not going anywhere to get it. It's right here. So we want to do MVN clean, right? That's the first thing we want to do. Okay, we want to do MVN clean. Then we'll do what? We'll do MVN Sona. Make sure you copy everything as it is. I want to do MVN Sona. Okay, I want to do MVN Sona. Okay, now that we've done this, so what is the next step, right? So we want to come here and click on enter, right? So if it is not built and it is not code quality analysis, what else could it be? It could be, let's see, to post to Nexus, right? To backup artifacts, but we need to copy it as exactly as it is, right? So we can afford to copy the whole of this line, right? And copy the whole of that line, paste it here, okay? Then put the closing, okay? Closing curly bracket right there. Then if it is not to backup, right? Let's see exactly how it was stated here. Okay, so there will be plenty of consistency when we are using the shared library, right? So try to be consistent at all times, otherwise we'll get it wrong. So if it is to back up artifacts, so what should we do? What are the steps as defined here in the pipeline we created? Okay, we come here. The first thing we want to do is to do MVN clean, right? I want to do an MVN clean. MVN clean, okay? So we come here and paste this here, MVN clean, okay? So what else are we supposed to do? We want to do what else? Let's see what else. We do MVN deploy, right? So this is another thing we need to do, okay? So we copy that as well to do the MVN deploy, okay? So we've done that. Now that we've done this, what else should we do? Okay, let's look at the final step, okay? So the final step is authorization, right? Which we can also configure. So if it is not built and is not code quality analysis and is not backing up of artifacts, what else can it be? So else if, okay? So come here, copy this, okay? Come here, enter to paste, okay? Then we close the curly bracket there, right? So once we close the curly bracket, we come and change this to authorization, but we want to be sure we copy it as it is. Otherwise, we'll have error messages and we'll have trouble, right? So we don't want that. So we come here, open this, and go copy what are those things that are expected, okay? So what are those things that are expected? We come here. So we expect this timeout and all of this thing, okay? It actually ends here, right? Because this opening here actually closed here. So we want to copy everything from here. Since we are copying an opening bracket, we should copy the closing bracket as well. So you see, so copy that and come and paste it in here, right? So this is what should happen in case of authorization. So we want to paste this here. Okay, so I believe it's looking good. Okay, so it's looking good. So everything is aligned. Okay, so that's fine. So now that we've done this, what else are we supposed to do? We are now supposed to take this to the GitHub repository, right? Because we are using GitHub, right? So I just use this platform to configure build up my Groovy script, okay? So that I know it's well formatted, I know whether there's a mistake or not. So I just leveraged on that platform. So I don't need those lines there. So I want to come to this place, okay? Let's go to Jenkins Global Library, right? So it's currently a private repository. I'll make it public, right? So we'll go into this vars, okay? I want to call this, let's create a new file, add file. Let's create a new file and call this file, let's call this joint.groovy, okay? Can call it joint. Oh, let's go back there. Let's go back to vars, okay? So we want to call this file that we are creating joint.groovy. It's like joint library. You could call it anything you like, right? As long as you call that name when you are writing your code. Okay, so writing your pipeline script. So we want to create a new file. So we want to call this joint. Joint is the file name. Groovy is the extension. Groovy, right? Joint.groovy, okay? So we want to come here, okay, and paste. So we want to come here and paste what we've copied. Okay. I want to paste what we've copied, right? You see, this is what we copied. And we've pasted it here. So this is the Groovy script for the shared library that we have created. We call it joint.groovy. So we want to come here and save. Commit new file. Let's save this. Okay, commit new file. Okay, so we have joint.groovy. Okay, so this is what we'll be working with. So now that we've done this, so what is the next step we need to take? Okay, we need to go back to our, are we done with this? Yes, for now. So we won't save, yeah. So we want to go here and go to manage Jenkins. Okay, when we go to manage Jenkins, we want to go to configure system, right? We want to configure our system to accommodate shared library. So if we scroll down gently, we'll see something like global pipeline libraries, okay? Say global pipeline libraries, okay? So this is what we have. So global pipeline libraries, okay? So I've created something before, but let's assume that nothing was here. What can we do? Let's say nothing was here. Let's say nothing was here. It was blank. You know, let's just do it together, right? Let's do it together. Let's say this is the default. What is there by default? Okay. I've not done anything to that. Let's say this has also nothing was here. Okay. Let's also say this was none. Okay. This was none. Okay. So this was what we had by default. Okay. So when you come in here, you want to come to global pipeline libraries, right? Once you get to global pipeline libraries, what do you want to call the name of your library, right? So I want to be consistent. Let me see what I have as a name of mine. I can call it Jenkins Global Library, right? Jenkins Global Library. Uppercase starting each of the letters. Jenkins Global Library. So I want to call it Jenkins global library. Okay, Jenkins global library. Okay, that's fine. I've entered the name. So default version, what does this tell us? Tells us that a default version of the library to load, if a script does not select another, might be branch name or whatever it is. So let me copy, let me put, what do I want to put here? Let me check what we have. What's the branch? Okay, how many branches we have? Just master. So I want to select master there, okay? So configure, so default version, because they've told us might be branch name, might be this, might be that, okay? So I want to put master, that's the branch name, okay? So for these checkboxes, I'm not touching it, I'm leaving it as it is. So here, what do you have? Modern SCM, legacy SCM. So the modern SCM is GitHub and Git, right? So we want to stick to Git, right? Because we might also be using other platforms, maybe Bitbucket or whatever, but it's still Git, okay? So we want to select Git. So what is the project repository? So the project repository is this, right? Not the file we created. So we want to check what the repository is, okay? This is the repository, okay? Jenkins Global, so I want to copy that, okay? I have that now, so I've copied that. So I want to come here and paste that here, okay? Because it's a private repository, I want to add credentials, right? Although it didn't prompt me, but if I don't, that's going to be an issue, obviously. Okay, so I come here. What else do I want to do? Library path, I want to leave that blank, it's optional. So discover branches, I don't want to do anything to that. So I believe I've done everything I should do here. Okay, I've done everything I should do here. So I want to apply and save. Okay, now that I've done this, remember I have two files in there. I have joint.groovy and I had something there before, whatever the name was. Okay, let's see. Inside the variables directory, I've joined. So this is what we just created now. So this is the one we are using. Okay, so what are our next steps? What do we do next? Okay, so now that we've done this, we want to go back to the repository, that the file, the project that we created. I believe that is shared pipeline, right? Now we want to do the work. So ordinarily, when you create a project, you want to enter a script, right? And now we want to use the shared library, okay? But to use the shared library, remember, we're building up from somewhere. Ordinarily, we'll need to build it afresh from the start, depending on the situation, or copy from an existing file, right? From an existing Jenkins file, okay? So, but since we are fond of building from the scratch, okay? So let's also copy what we've built before, since to save us some time, okay? So looking at this, where's the file? Okay, this is the file, okay? So we can copy the whole of this, right? Assuming, okay, so we copy the whole of this, right? And paste here. This is what would have happened ordinarily, right? Do this. This is what we would have done ordinarily. Then after copying and pasting, we'll now start modifying, right? We'll start modifying. So we'll start modifying to get exactly what pertains to the project that we are working on. But to make it simple for us, we are using the same repository, nothing is changing, right? But we want to demonstrate how the shared library is going to affect what we are doing. So what it means is that we'll come here, right? Build, right? We are assuming that we are not entering these commands manually. We want to use the shared library. So delete up to this point, okay? So we come to code quality analysis. We do the same, right? We delete up to this point. right? We are not doing anything on our own, right? We want to use the shared library, okay? So, all this could also, depending on how lengthy or complicated projects are, this could take time. So we want to use the shared library. So from here, okay, what am I doing? I want to take out everything from here, right? You see, this bracket opening, so it closes here. So I want to take everything. So this one that opens here, closes here, okay? So what I want to take out is from here. So I take this out, authorization, right? So I stop here. Okay, now that we've done this, so what is the next thing that we are supposed to do, right? The next thing we are supposed to do is to now complete this missing space, right? So all the missing details, we need to put something there. So what should we put, okay? So when we are starting when we want to use a library, we need to specify it at the top first. That's the first thing we need to do, yeah? Before pipeline, we need to specify, oh, we want to use library, oh, okay? So we come up here and we say at library, okay, library, okay? Now that we do that, we'll come here. So we'll come and we'll go and pick out what our name is, the name that we use for saving, okay? So the name we use for saving, I remember we used this, right? Jenkins Global Library, the name of the repository. So for us to remember, right? So I want to put that in quote, right? Single quote, say Jenkins Global Library. Okay, Jenkins Global Library. Then we go outside, we put a space, then we put the underscore. Okay, so once we've done this, we can now go and fill in the gap. We'll start from build. Let's start from build. Okay, we need to start from build and see what we need to do. Right? So what is the name of that file that we created? The name of the file we created, right? Remember, we are trying to be consistent. So the name of the file we created is, let's confirm that together, joint.groovy, right? So we come here, we come to this project here, we come here, we say joint, as it is, joint, space, right? We now specify this as it is, right? What do we have here? Build. We are consistent. It has to be exact same thing, right? Joint, because it's the same thing we copied in the library. So we can as well close our eyes and copy this, okay? Joint, okay? We are using joint, because that's the name of the file. Because we have two files there, so we want it to see joint and pick it, okay? So we'll come here. So what next? The next stage, we want to put joint, right? Joint, space, then we want to copy this as it is exactly, right? I want to copy code quality analysis and put it here, okay? Code quality analysis, okay? So we want to come here, down, let's go down, okay? We want to type joint again, because that's the name of the file. We want to copy backup artifacts, right? Because that is how we define, remember, when we're defining all those variables, so if stage name, $stage name, right, equal to backup artifacts, right? We copied it exactly as it is. So this way, it will just look at the file and know what is in there, right? So now finally, authorization, also do the same thing, right? Say joint, right? Then we'll copy authorization as it is, okay? Copy authorization as it is. We copy and paste, okay? So we've done about everything. We are not changing this because we are still using the same project, because this is just a demo, right? So we assume everything will be the same. So we come here. So everything, remember, before the pipeline, specify this, okay? Now, after clearing each of the steps, replace it with joint, because that's the name of the file. Then specify what you have here exactly as it is, okay? So now that we've done all of this, we should be able to have a good day. So let's save, apply, save, okay? This project is shared pipeline, so let's do our build. So our build, code quality analysis. Okay. Backing up of artifacts. Authorization required. Proceed. Deploy to app server. Probably something happened to Tomcat. So let's confirm that. Did I restart Tomcat? Let's see Tomcat. This Tomcat is still running. Okay. There's the IP address. Okay. Nothing has changed, right? So let's just run it again. I'm not sure what happened there. So let's just run it again. No change was made. So let's build now. Not sure what happened there, because we didn't touch Tomcat. We just copied this as it was in the previous project. So it shouldn't fail. Okay, so those are the ones we worked on. My IP address has not changed, so it shouldn't fail. Okay, so let's proceed. Oh, okay. So it didn't fail. So that's fine. So I'm not sure what happened at first, but we didn't do anything, as you can see. So the project is a success. So let's just build one more time, then we can call it a day with the shared library. Okay, let's authorize. Okay, proceed. Okay, so we've been able to confirm that everything is a success. All right, see you in another session. Thank you very much.